Hey everybody, it's Kira and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be reacting slash discussing Bookmarked. So if you don't know what that is, Bookmarked is a weekly discussion hosted by Haley from Haley in Bookland, Zoe from Read by Zoe, and then Hannah from A Clockwork Reader. They do a weekly live show and they just discuss different things. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to do kind of a reaction and add in my thoughts to what they're discussing because I love all three of them so much and it's really fun to watch them talk with each other, so I'm excited about this. I'll be honest, the first couple will not be true reactions because I have seen them. As I'm recording this, they've done they've done it for 3 weeks, and so I have seen all three of them already. So it's not going to be a true reaction, but I'm hoping to catch up and then be able to do this as like a true reaction and discussion. So, yeah, let's get started.
We're
Hi!
live now. Hi!
Wow.
I'm so sorry. That was such a struggle.
Starting
Oh my
off with a
goodness.
bang.
Yeah, we really are. I promise it won't be like this every time, but I've never done a live before, so did not know what I was doing, but now I do. So hello everyone. Welcome to Bookmarked. Yay!
Yay!
So excited to launch this today. So if you guys don't know, which I would assume you do because you're on my channel, but my name is Haley and I am from the channel which you are on right now, Haley in Bookland.
I'm Hannah. My channel is A Clockwork Reader.
And I am Zoe. I am from the channel Read by Zoe.
So if you guys hadn't heard our announcement or seen our Twitters or Instagram where we have been talking about Bookmarked like crazy, Bookmarked is going to be a weekly live show discussion that we're going to be holding every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully you'll be at 7 p.m. like sharp next time. We're close. We were close. But we're just going to discuss different topics, kind of like a podcast. It's going to be
Another
really
reason that
fun.
I wanted
so
to do this
today
is
is
because
chapter 1, and today we are going to be discussing
like that
how
time doesn't work for me, so this is another reason that I wanted to start this whole thing.
We're not one amalgamation.
Are we?
Yes, we are.
We're like
really
Transformers.
debatable. So we have really different stories. So I guess we're just going to talk about like when we started reading, why we started loving reading, all that stuff. So I started reading, I have a little bit of a different story than everyone else. I only started really loving reading when I was 16 years old. As a kid, I thought reading was really stupid and silly because I was stupid and silly myself. But my sister always really loved reading, and I was like, well, I don't want to be like my sister. Like, that's geeky, blah, blah, blah. Wasn't interested in it. But then when I was 16, I discovered a real love of books. And ever since then, I always have my nose in a book.
For me, I used to read all the time as a kid. My mom used to read to me every night before bed. So I really, really loved books as a kid. And then when I got a little bit older, I want to say like late elementary school, like fourth, fifth grade, I kind of like fell out of like my love for reading and I just didn't like it anymore. I think it was in part because it required reading at school. That's when it became more of like a big
happens
thing.
to a lot
and
of
then
people.
I just like fell out of that and I didn't like it. I didn't want to read anything.
A lot of my
And
friends
then
are
it
like
wasn't
that,
until I think it was the summer, like after sixth grade, so like right before seventh grade started for me, or sixth grade. Honestly, time is weird. Don't remember when it was. Middle school. But I discovered the Twilight Saga, and I read Twilight, and that book sparked my love for all other books. I read it obsessively, and then I read Harry Potter after that, and The Mortal Instruments after that, and everything. And ever since then, I've just been reading nonstop.
Well, mine is different as well. My entire family were all pretty big readers, and ever since I can remember, I was being, read to sleep and stuff. I loved fairy picture books, which is such a weird genre, but there was one called like Fairy Went to Market or something like that. The fairy had brown curly hair like I do, and so I was like, I'm a fairy, and I thought like my shoulder blades were like wings ready to sprout out or whatever. So I've always had like a hyperactive imagination, and books did not help. But I just grew up around books. We went to the library a lot, because we didn't, grow up with a lot of money, so the library was a great place to go to. And Then my parents got divorced, and so I spent a lot of summers with my mom in a place where I didn't have any friends. So books are my friends, and that sounds really sad, but it was true. And then when I went to middle school, I went to a different middle school than any of my elementary school friends. So didn't have any friends, was super lonely. So books are my friends. And it's books have always been a great companion with me, and I get to revisit like Harry Potter. I loved Harry Potter growing up. My entire family were really into it. We all know our Hogwarts houses. We all went to the midnight
Must be
releases.
nice.
Yeah, we all went to the midnight releases of the books, and so they've just been my most constant companion throughout my life.
My story is definitely the most similar to Zoe's. My family are all readers. Like, I've just grown up reading, and we seriously go to the library every single week. Like, it definitely dwindles when we're in school because we can use our school libraries, but I remember, like, growing up, seriously, like, every single week we would take a trip to the library. When I was younger, it was for, like, story time and hanging out, and then when I got a little bit older, it was to find books and, like, have my younger siblings play. And I'm sad that, like, my family didn't get into Harry Potter until, like, the past couple of years, but, like, seriously, I've just always been a reader. I've grown up with that. That's definitely closer to my story. Yeah, I've just grown up with it. I don't remember a time where I wasn't reading, like, growing up.
I have to relate to that because honestly, books were my friend as well when
Yeah, also, I was homeschooled for 6th and 7th grade, and we had just moved to a new city in 6th grade, and so I didn't have that many friends. And so, again, like, books became my friends. They were, like, my only friends for a little bit. So, yeah, I think that's part of the reason that reading strikes me so much is that I have these friends who are, like, always there. So.
I didn't really have anything else because when I was 16, I was going through a really rough mental health time and I was actually hospitalized for quite a bit. And when you're hospitalized, you don't have access to anything in the outside world. Like, you don't really have anyone else to talk to. You don't have a lot. So I brought books in with me and I read just so many books and I kept on devouring them. And that was what really got me through that difficult time, was reading. And I feel like books are like an old reliable friend in that way, and they always have been. So
Yeah.
they're really great for when you need like a shoulder to cry on, I guess, because you can read like a sad book. So it's just,
Yeah.
books are
It's
great.
true.
And they
Yeah.
always wait for you. So if you're
Yes.
like having a great time and you put down a book, they'll wait for you. It's the best friend you
Yeah.
can
Excuse you.
Exactly. We'll never ghost you, never flake on you.
Yeah.
You're good. So Akia Tijui, I'm sorry if I said your name incorrectly, but she says that she was not a reader either. She used to think that books were for nerds, like in people that study nerd. I
Not
think that's
wrong.
no, it's not wrong at all, but I think that nerd is definitely something that has been reclaimed a little bit. It doesn't have
Yeah.
as many negative connotations to it. Like, fandom and geek culture is such a huge thing. So I think being a reader is something that is now really celebrated, as it should be, because reading is an absolutely life-changing thing, which I think we can all attest to. Like, if you're a reader, even if you're just a casual reader, then you can see how like books can actually change your life. It's pretty incredible.
And now all the cool girls are like, I love Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh.
But we had a really good one from Lydia from PS I Still Read You, who asked, what was your first bookish fandom? And mine definitely was Harry Potter. Wow, are we all surprised? What about you, Hannah? What about?
Mine was absolutely, okay, actually, I say it's Twilight. It really wasn't Twilight, as obsessed as I was with Twilight. My first fandom, like the first time I like bought merch, got really invested, made a Tumblr, was for the Mortal Instrument.
She's a great fan art out there if you want to look.
Oh, I have fan art. I have fan art. It's embarrassing. I have fan art that I got Cassie Clare to sign. That's how obsessed I was. Yeah, so if anyone remembers DeviantArt, I had a DeviantArt with all my Mortal Instruments fan art. I
That's a
had
little
like
too early
I had
for
the
me.
Morgenstern ring. It is still up. I had the Morgenstern ring on a chain. Wore it every single day. I wore it to my like middle school like graduation. I was obsessed. Um, I wanted to get a rune tattoo when I turned 18. Didn't do that clearly.
You still have time.
Yeah, I still have time. But yeah, that was definitely the first time I truly experienced like an obsession, like that kind of like fandom obsession with any sort of book.
I don't think I've ever really like I don't know, I've never participated in fandom in that way. I've
You haven't
never
lived, Haley. You
I
haven't
know, I
lived.
know. Yeah, but I've never
Number
like
one stan.
oh my God. I've never done like fan fiction, fan art, none of that stuff. So I honestly, I don't really know. I like obviously I love Alice in Wonderland, which everyone knows. I mean, we've got Mad Hatter mug here.
On
But
brand.
I haven't really like participated in a fandom like you guys have. So I don't really have one.
I think my first fandom was Harry Potter, like either Harry Potter or Narnia. So Harry Potter mostly because I was able to talk with people. It was when I first got my laptop, and so I was able to go on the internet and like find other people who enjoyed Harry Potter as much as I did. Like I followed all of these like Harry Potter Facebook pages because that's where I was at in 8th grade, and just like yeah, seeing that other people enjoyed Harry Potter like I did, and like seeing all the memes that came out of it and that kind of thing. So I think Harry Potter was also my first like actual fandom that I was in.
Sad. Booktube, I guess, is my fandom. I had someone on the chat asked a good question that I'm now struggling to find. I remember there we go. So Lil Shreya Reads asks, what was the first character you loved or felt a connection to?
Ooh.
Like a
Which I
personal connection or like
yeah, yeah, I think
okay.
like a personal connection, like someone that you identified with, I guess.
I think mine, I always wanted to be Lucy Pevensey from the Chronicles of Narnia, but also like Hermione because she was bookish, like she enjoyed reading, which was so cool to see in books. And then another one that comes to mind is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I don't remember the book very well, but I do remember like thinking that this is me. Like, I don't like talking to people and I'd much rather read my books than do other things.
Well, I mean, Hermione Granger, that's kind of like a
Yeah.
gimme. That's so obvious. But I had like, this before I knew how to like manage my hair. This is my hair managed. But when I was young, I had no idea. So it was like today's my
Or
Pevensey,
Matilda.
and
Or
that was
Matilda.
back when being a nerd was
Yes.
still uncool. So I was the
Because Matilda
shy
loved
kid
to
in the
read.
corner who would just read books all day. And so that's kind of one. But I don't, you guys go ahead. I'll think more.
I feel like the first character that I ever like I guess I didn't really feel like they were me and I felt a personal connection with them, but the first character that I was like, I really love this character. I don't even remember their names, but from the Magic Treehouse series by Mary Pope Osborne.
I love the Magic Treehouse
Loved.
series.
I
Oh
like,
my
like I
gosh.
said, I was not a big reader as a kid, but I ate the Magic Treehouse series up.
Oh,
I
I
loved
love
it. I
those
was
books.
weirdly obsessed with shipwrecks as a kid. So like, what was it? Tonight on the Titanic?
Yes,
Whatever
my
that one.
favorite one.
Yeah,
Oh,
so good. So
I like
good.
the Pompeii one. The Pompeii one.
The Pompeii
my
one
Yes.
is
favorite.
also
Forgot
super good.
Pompeii. I need like I honestly every time I'm at work, I'm so tempted to buy all of them because I want to read all of them. Like still to this
Honestly,
day.
you can be like, I read 100 books in a month.
Yes. Like, look at that clickbait. Oh
Can we
my
host a
God.
readathon where everyone just reads Magic Treehouse like all
Yes.
the way through?
Oh
Yes.
my gosh,
Let's do
yes.
it.
Yeah. I support this so much. But I loved Jack and Annie. People are telling me their names. Thank
Yes.
you. I loved them
Jack
a
and Annie.
lot. So
Yes.
that was my first time where I was like, I love this character. Yes,
My
please.
younger sister loves
Yeah.
the books
For me, it
too,
was
so
also
she's
definitely,
still
like,
reading them.
Hermione,
It's pretty cool.
the obvious answer. When you had like really messy hair and you were nerdy and you were kind of like super into school and everyone thought you were like the smart kid in class, like you related to Hermione, of course.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it was probably Tessa from the Infernal Devices. because she was one of the
I still
first
haven't read
characters that I
those.
read about who like on like an emotional level, I just really related to her. And yeah, it was like the first time I'd ever read about a character who was like around that age. Because I read that like almost directly after I read Twilight. So I had only Bella to compare to her.
You didn't relate to Bella? What are you talking about?
All that
Hannah?
angst.
Actually, that's true. If I'm being completely honest, I totally related to Bella when I was younger.
Oh
Because
no,
she had
yeah.
lines where she was like, "Oh, I don't fit in. I don't relate well to people my age." I was like, "Oh, I'm so much more mature than people my age when I was 11." Um, and I was like, "I'm like 25." I'm still not 25, so
Well, how old did you think 25?
I don't know. I was
It seems
11.
so much
Doing
older.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh my goodness. I was like, by the time I'm like 25, I'm gonna have like 12 dogs, 6 cats. I mean, I have 4 cats, so like I'm almost there. But I was like, she's gonna be successful. Oh God,
Yeah.
how naive.
But I feel like I just found parts of myself in different characters. That's what
Yeah,
I
no,
always say. Yeah.
there wasn't one that was like, oh my gosh,
Nope,
that is
sorry.
me. But like Bella being pale and being from somewhere where you're expected to be tan, like from Florida, like if you're from Arizona, shouldn't you be like super tan or whatever that line was?
Oh my
Me?
goodness.
She also went to a tiny school. I went to a tiny school,
I
so
went
I
to a
can
big school.
relate.
That's where it ended for me.
Now, did you mentioned this, Zoe, but as far as your family and friends, did you like surround yourself with other readers? Because I know my siblings and really my whole family, they always really loved reading. I remember them waiting for all of the Harry Potter books to come out, and every single time they would get a new one, I'd be like, Harry dies at the end of this one. Like, I was such a brat.
I
Cannot
mean,
emphasize enough.
eventually.
Really?
Yeah, but like so bad. So, did you guys like find that as a kid you were able to make friends out of other readers?
I feel like as a kid, I didn't. Like, I feel like my family were the biggest readers, but then in middle school, I met this girl named Kat, who is still like one of my best friends, and she was a really big reader, and so she actually got me into a lot of series. Like, she told me to read Harry Potter, Hunger Games, and then the Hush Hush series, if anybody remembers that. So I feel like it wasn't until like middle school and high school that I like made friends who were readers. Most of my friends still aren't readers, but I do have a couple friends who are. But it wasn't like when I was little. Not that I remember anyways.
Well, first, where were you when the Harry Potter books came out? Were you just like sitting at home, like being all like, dang, readers getting there?
Yes. Well, they would like pre-order them, and I remember them coming home with them, and they'd be like, "Ooh, new Harry Potter book," and we'd get like 2, and they would like pass it around. There was between the 4 of them.
Oh,
And I
That's
would just
fun.
be like, haha, Harry dies at the end of this one. Like this old little hag under like a plant or something.
cloak and your like
Nothing has
gnarled hand.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Like literally nothing has changed. That's me now. But that was awful. Oh, goodness.
I feel like I definitely surrounded myself with people who also liked reading. Like I was never like the weird kid who liked to read, or like in my group of friends even like a lot of my friends like to read. A lot of my friends are the reason I started reading too. And then like after a little while, like they all kind of fell out of it, and I was the one who's super into it. So
Yeah.
at some point, I became the weird one who just wanted to spend her time reading, but it didn't start out that way. My
That's
friends were
probably
the
what
reason
happened
I
with
started
me.
reading Twilight. I had a friend who loved reading so much, and she's the one who told me about the Mortal Instruments. That's how I found out about the Hunger Games and so many other books. So like we would basically like RIP Borders, but like when Borders was still open, we would go to Borders and just like find new books to read, and then like I'd pick one up and she'd pick one up, and then we'd each read it, and then we'd like swap and then like
Oh, that's so cool.
share books with each other, and it was so much fun. So yeah, I was like really lucky in that way, because I know a lot of people weren't surrounded by people who liked to read, but my family never read, so it was only my friends. So, yeah.
mine is kind of opposite, but I've never been shamed for being a reader, which, yeah, my family are all pretty big readers. And it went in waves with my friends. Sometimes they were really into books like Twilight. I learned about Twilight from one of my friends who loaned me her book. But then I think it was after Twilight, none of them really read after that. I remember one day during, I think it was 7th grade lunch, we had an actual full-on debate between Harry Potter and Twilight. Like it started to turn into a shouting match because we were those like really cool, like quirky, like middle schoolers who were like, oh my gosh, like we're so weird. We're just like here talking about books.
With me and my friends.
It was so
bad.
Back at that time with my graphic tees and my braces.
Amazing.
Woo! But then after that, none of them really read. I kept on reading, but they would all ask what I was reading, which was really nice. So I've been pretty lucky with supportive friends, but I haven't had, until BookTube, no one to recommend books to, and then they'll read them, and then we can talk about books. It was just Harry Potter and Twilight. And then eventually The Hunger Games were all the series I could really talk to people about.
But first, I wanted to ask you guys if you had a first favorite book. I mentioned Magic Treehouse series. I also used to love The Amazing Days of Abby Hayes. I don't even know if anyone else has read those. They were great. The one that I read all the time was Every Cloud Has a Silver Lining. I basically loved all the like typical chick lit. That was my jam as a child. Anything about horses too. I was like, this is my life. I wanted to be a horse when I was a child.
Yes.
I was a weird girl.
Okay, I didn't want to be a horse.
There's one in every gun.
I was totally a horse girl when I was little.
Oh my god. We would,
Definitely went through that
I lived
phase.
kind of near the country, so we would like be going by these fields and I would see horses and I would scream when we were on field trips. I was the weird horse girl. Yes, guilty as charged. But any book with a horse in it, I loved it.
There was like this
what were your
Thoroughbred
guys'
series
favorite
that I
books when you were
loved
kids?
when I was little.
I loved the American Girl doll books.
Yes.
Those were
Okay, so those were my jam. I loved those books so much, and it was really fun when my sister started reading that I made her read some of them. She enjoys them now. She hasn't read all of them, but she read all of the Felicity books, and then we've watched the Felicity movie with Shailene Woodley, and it was really fun. Like, it's really fun to share some of the stuff that I read when I was little with my sister. That's pretty cool, but I love the American Girl series.
those were great. And I also loved Magic Treehouse, of course. I read like probably all of them.
I think they're still coming out, actually.
Goosebumps books. I owned like
I refuse to
many
do
of them,
Goosebumps.
like by
I
R.L.
can't do
Stine,
scary
right?
things,
Did I read those?
so I refuse to do
Oh my
those.
god, I read them all the time. My family got so mad because I wanted to buy literally every single one, and there's like over 100.
Are they still coming out with
Yes, yeah, they are.
Are they? Oh
Yeah,
my god.
we still at least like maybe repackaged, but I think there's new ones because there's like Slappy World, Most Wanted. They have like different things.
Wait, there's a continuation of Slappy? Slappy was like my worst nightmare.
Oh, I had to read Goosebumps. I'm a chicken. I can't with anything.
Same.
But I had to read Goosebumps in the 3rd grade, and I had to read the one with the stupid dummy.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dummy, the best one.
I wanted to die. I would not. I remember having croissants for breakfast, and I was so freaked out I would not eat my croissant. It was a sad morning for child Haley.
I did not read any Goosebumps books, so I'm so confused what you're talking about.
It was awful.
Slappy was the name of the like ventriloquist dummy that would come to life.
Oh,
It was
Don't
my
do
favorite
it.
one because it scared me more than all of them, and
Oh.
I really liked being scared. So yeah,
No thanks.
I love those. And then my other favorite thing this was around the time that I didn't read, but I read these because I loved them so much. It was the Spiderwick books. I love those. The field guide was my actual Bible. Like I lived by that thing. I thought I was a tree folk. Half mermaid. That's like 3 halves. That's thirds. I can't count
true.
apparently. But still.
I didn't read those till
It
like
was my
6th
favorite
grade,
in the
but
world.
I
Those were,
loved
like, my
those
favorite
ones.
That's awesome.
Those the Spider
I went on my
books were
Goodreads
really
to see
good.
like if I ever posted any like the oldest ones I posted, and I can't remember any series besides Magic Treehouse, but I know that did you ever read Frindle?
No.
It sounds
Oh,
familiar.
Pen?
I know what book that is, though. Yeah, because I recognize it from work now.
Yeah.
It's like a pen doing something.
Yeah, and
I
so
totally
like
know what you're
obviously
talking
Harry
about.
Potter was like my
Yeah.
fave.
Yeah.
But then it was Once Upon a Marigold as well by Jean Ferris, and that was the first ever like romance that I ever loved. And I don't even think anything happens. I think they might have hugged or something, but I was like, oh my awakening.
Oh my
Like
god.
a children's book.
Incredible.
So that was great. I apparently on Goodreads it says it's a series, and I never read. I didn't know
Now
really
you
any
need to
series back in the
continue.
day because I read the first Percy Jackson book back in 5th grade. I did not know it was a series until high school. So that's why I couldn't get back into it because I had been way too long. And then did you ever read Peter and the Starcatchers?
No.
It's like a Peter.
I
It's a
want to
Peter
read
Pan
that.
retelling. That was really good. Kingdom Keepers. Did you
Yeah.
ever read that?
Oh
As I
my
know of,
gosh.
but
Yeah.
I love the Kingdom Keepers series. It's a series about these kids who get to work at Disney World, and they are put in this new program that's DHI, so Daylight Hologram Imaging, or Disney Host Interactive, whichever you want to do. It doesn't matter. They mean the same thing. And so basically they like brought in to be these hologram hosts, so they like film them, and then the holograms of themselves will like lead people around Disney. But then when they go to sleep, they wake up in Disney World as half human and half DHI, so basically half light, and you find out that all the characters are real, and they're all the villains, the overtakers, are trying to take over the park. It's the best series ever. I love the Kingdom Keepers series. More people need to read it. It's such a good series.
Yes.
a lot of these books I know of from work now. Like I never knew of them when I was a kid.
Well, I grew up in Orlando, and it takes place at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
And like at Magic Kingdom, everything comes alive at night, and
That's so
It's a
cool.
Small World comes alive.
Oh,
That's right.
no.
That's in the first
Bye.
book.
I love that.
Good. They were going to make a movie based on it, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna
That
become
would
a
be so
star.
cool.
I'm gonna go to Magic Kingdom and demand to be in it. And then they never made the movie, so.
Aw,
That would have been
miss
Wait,
so
I
cool.
just remembered another like series of kids books, and you might have read them, Zoe, because I know you liked fairies. But there was like this series of books where there were like these different types of like fairies and pixies. Do you know what I'm talking about? They would like
I think
each one
so.
did something different. One of them was like a trickster, and I know
There's,
it had
like,
something to do with
rainbow.
video games.
Oh no.
There was another one that like, oh, I don't, one that maybe was obsessed with candy. I don't remember, but like it was like a series of books about like fairies and pixies.
I have
And
no idea.
I don't remember.
I read
Someone in the
the
chat, if you
Disney
remember.
Fairies ones based on like Tinkerbell. I read those,
No,
but that's
not
not what you're
those.
talking about. But I did read those.
I read like this
Oh,
rainbow.
Inkheart, yes, Little Book
I
Owl.
never read that.
I read that,
I read Inkheart in like 6th or
Twisted.
7th grade.
and then I
think.
watched half the movie. Not good.
I was meant to continue that series, and I
Oh,
never
Rainbow
did.
Magic Fairies.
That is it. So that's
Yeah,
how
I read
I have to look
those.
that up.
it's a huge
Okay.
series.
Winx
There's a
Club.
ton of them.
Victoria said Winx Club. Yes.
I
What
love
is
it.
Have you ever watched Winx Club?
All the time.
Yes.
I was not part of it.
Oh my goodness. You
I
can.
don't know what that is.
No. Stop it.
No, yeah,
it was
it's
not
Zelda.
Rainbow. It was not Rainbow Magic Fairies. It's a different.
I
series.
definitely read the Rainbow Magic
And
Fairies.
will
I
read
loved
it.
those ones.
Wow, that's the type of book I want to write. Oh, Series of Unfortunate Events. Yes. Duh.
I never
Totally
read
I
those.
still
forgot
Actually,
that.
just kidding.
Um,
I read the
I
first
love
book
them. I read them
in
like
school one
7 years
time,
ago.
Oh, you read them
but
like
I didn't
as
like
an
them,
adult?
so I never read
Yeah,
them.
I never read them as a kid.
And you
I
still
read them.
liked it?
Yeah, I loved them. They were so good.
I
Yeah,
thought, hey,
Maybe I
give
should
them a
read them
chance.
now.
you should. You
We
should.
used to have the entire series, but my mom gave them away, and I don't want to buy them again.
She doesn't want you to learn the big words that are in there.
No, I have to write with only small words. Oh my goodness. So do you guys want to take some questions now?
Yes.
Okay, there was one from Jesse that I saw, and now I lost it. I think if I remember, he said, how has BookTube negatively or positively impacted your reading? I believe that's what he said. I had it saved up here, and now it's gone. But I think that's what he said. And I think that's a really good question because it definitely, while it's had positive impacts, it has had a lot of negative impacts.
I haven't found many negative impacts yet. Maybe that's because I'm still decently new on BookTube. I've only been here for like a year, but actually close to a year and a half now. Yeah, a year and a half I've been on BookTube, but I haven't found any negative impacts on my reading, except for maybe like being put into reading slump, but that's not necessarily to do with BookTube. I found more positive impacts just in the fact that like there's so many more books that I need to read now. There's so many books that I didn't know about that I now know about. So I really want to read more of these books. So that's my thoughts on
There's
that.
so much pressure to read so much more than I used to.
Maybe
Like,
because I'm
I
not a
used to
bigger
read
one,
a book every
bigger
once in a
booktuber,
while, and I
that
would
like
read
I don't
one
feel
like
that pressure.
one every
I don't
6
know.
months, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm done. Like I can't do anymore. It took so much out of me. But now I'm reading like so many, and I feel like it's honestly how it's changed me as a reader is there's a lot more pressure to read more. Obviously, I've been introduced to so many new books because of it as well. So it really is a positive, negative, like balance, I guess.
I think definitely positive effects. Learning about so many great book recommendations. It's
Yeah.
pretty rare that I won't like a book that I am recommended, especially from you guys and some of the other booktubers out there. So that's also why my Goodreads average rating is so high. And I look at it, it's like a 4 point something, and it makes me kind of sad because it's so high. It makes me seem that I'm not like a critical reviewer. It's just the fact that I get recommended so many good books. That's such a weird complaint to have. My Goodreads rating is too high.
Like you know what you like to read too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that helps.
But the problem also is that I'm a really big mood reader and I DNF a lot of books. And that's not something that's great on BookTube because you don't really put in wrap-ups that you've stopped reading a whole bunch of books. And I go through a lot of books. I DNF a lot of books. And that's also why my Goodreads rating is so high, because I don't rate the ones that I don't finish. I just get rid of my whole review and I delete the existence. It's like, wow, I never even touched this book. Ha ha ha. So, and there's a lot of pressure to read a lot of books, which sometimes makes me not read at all. I get overwhelmed very easily because of, mental illness stuff and just being, an anxious person. So I sometimes will be like, oh no, I can't dedicate enough time this week to finish like a 500-page book, so I won't read it all. But the positives definitely outweigh the negatives. Yeah. I've learned so many new authors, and like Cassandra Clare, I learned that from, I think it was Christine back in the day, and one of my new favorite authors. Well, not my new favorite, but one of my favorite authors.
Yeah, I'll start with my positives. I think definitely the positives outweigh the negatives, mostly just because I will literally never run out of books to read at this point.
True.
Whereas before I felt like I had to go into a store and then I was like overwhelmed by the number of things in front of me. Now I go into a store and I'm just like, I own too many of these books.
True. Well, like I've seen all of these before.
And I get so many like wonderful recommendations from people like all the time, books I probably never would have heard of in the first place. And basically echoing all of your thoughts, but I also just like feel in the negative sense, I just like feel pressured to constantly be reading.
Yeah.
That also comes with like constantly be filming, but like I feel pressured to like constantly be in the middle of like, I know I read multiple books at once, but I feel like I have to be finishing like 5 books every week. Otherwise, like there's no point. And sometimes I do, just because I do read like that.
You're a superstar.
Like I finished 2 books in the past 2 days, but like I hadn't read anything for like a month before that. And then other months I'll read like 20 books, and I'm like so sporadic, and I feel like people expect like a sort of consistency, or at least BookTube and its structure expects a sort of consistency with your reading, and I do not have that. So sometimes you just like feel that pressure to be reading like so much all the time, and like sometimes I just want to lie there and watch Netflix and not think about anything. So
it's true.
I think especially because there's like a big complaint that I frequently get, because I'm really bad at curating my reading list to things that I enjoy. So I read a lot of stuff that I don't like. So that's something that I've been working on since I did like Unhaul Armageddon. I've been working on really concentrating on only reading things that I'm enjoying and actually DNFing things. But I get a complaint a lot about talking about the same books all the time. But when you think about it, I don't want to be recommending a book that's like 2 stars just because it fits whatever category I'm recommending.
Right.
I'm only recommending like 4 stars or higher, sometimes 3, if I think it's something that you would enjoy, even if I didn't. So I have like a teeny tiny handful of books to pick from in terms of that, because there's not that many that I give 4 or 5 stars. So I feel like I'm constantly pressured to be reading things, and like reading things that I will enjoy, so then I can have new material to talk about in my videos. It's just, it's honestly the pressure of it is really what it comes down to. And I think we can all agree on that.
Oh yeah, I totally get that.
I think, because I'm much smaller, I have less than 100 subscribers right now. So I definitely don't feel that pressure at all, which is great. Like, I love being able to just read what I want to read, and like all of these girls definitely know that they can read whatever they want to read, and they know that. But you also do have like kind of a responsibility to your viewers in some ways of like providing the same kind of thing. Like, I think it was Hannah said, like the structure of booktube wants consistency, and so they are feeling that pressure to read a certain amount of books or read a certain type of books, because that's what like YouTube is kind of wants in a way. But I don't know, I don't think it matters. I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter how many books you read, it just matters that you are reading. So
like the pressure to constantly be talking about like new books, whereas like my favorites
True.
are still like this core 10 books or something like that, and I don't feel like talking about all these new ones and saying they're my favorites because they're not. But yeah, no, I totally get that. Sorry, Zoe, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, I was gonna.
I interrupted her first, so.
It's all good. Last time I interrupted you guys so many times because I'm excited, so it's all fair. No, like what you were saying, Hannah, that just having to be up on the latest releases, and I'm still so backlogged. I'm still reading new releases from like 2015.
Oh, same.
I'm so behind. And definitely that's why I don't make a lot of recommendation videos, because I keep having to wait until I have a new batch. Which like, I want to do more recommendation videos, but I don't want to keep saying read Pride and Prejudice. No.
Just do it. They should just do it by now.
The thriller recommendations.
Pride and Prejudice.
Okay, also, before we take another question, I just remembered the name of the series that I was thinking of.
What is it?
Pixie Tricks.
Definitely never heard of that.
They were like my favorite. They were so good. They were about fairies, and every single fairy pulled a different type of trick on like the different, I think it was the same girl in every book, but it was so good. I love
like evil fairy.
Oh my god! Oh my god, I totally read these!
Yes,
oh my god! What?
They were so good. You're the only other person I've ever met who actually knew what they were.
My life has been changed. I don't remember these until you said, wow.
I love them. I vividly remember the video game one.
Yeah, I totally. This is like some Scholastic book fair stuff.
I love
like,
Scholastic book fairs.
Oh my god, like the book order. I don't know if you guys had that.
Yes.
Book order too. Oh.
Book order?
Where
you would get like a paper.
Oh yeah,
these books, and then you pick what you want.
Yeah.
I got a couple different spy things from there.
Friends when we were younger, because like no one else liked
fairies. You did not want to be friends with me when I was younger.
Was I talking to you? No, I wasn't. I was talking
to
Roasted.
So rude. You are on my channel, Zoe. Rude. Oh my god.
Her right now, she's mean.
So rude. Oh my goodness. All right, did you want to take another question?
That's so great.
Magic School Bus. Yes.
I never read a couple of those.
I watched the show.
Oh my gosh.
I remember the human
I was also
body
the red
digestion
so afraid.
system.
Oh my god. Iconic. What is his name?
There's a question on the chat. Tom from TJ Reads the Stars says, did you guys remember the first ever your first ever reading slumps? What caused them and how did you get out of them?
I would have reading slumps frequently. Like that's what would happen was I would read one book and then I wouldn't be able to read for like months. So I had them all the time before I really knew what they were.
I think the first reading slump I ever had was that I like really knew about was this past year. So like the end of last year and then the beginning of this year when I wasn't on BookTube, I just did not feel like reading. I DNF'd like 5 books in the first couple of months. Like December, January, February, I like DNF'd like 5 or 6 different books. I just did not feel like reading. So that was the first time that I've ever really like noticed a book slump. And I got out of it by, I think, just reading my favorite books. Like I think I reread An Ember in the Ashes or like reread Harry Potter or something. I don't remember, but I find that reading something that you really enjoy is one of the best ways to get out of a reading slump because it reminds you that like you want to be reading this.
And now I have them way less frequently except for now, so fun time.
My first one was in high school It was between freshman year and senior year, so it lasted like
All
3 years.
school.
It was great. I read probably 2 books that whole time. Yeah, and it came about because of like a lot of like life stuff. Freshman year was a horrible year for me, and I just did not have any motivation to read, so it lasted forever. I got out of it because I read. I actually I don't know. Oh, because I read Wuthering Heights. Yeah.
Oh, I've
I
never
don't
read
think
that.
I recognized my not reading periods as reading slumps until booktube because I just
Agreed.
wouldn't pick up a book. But now I'm so conscious of not wanting to read that I think it exacerbates the reading slumps even more.
Good
Because I'm like,
word.
oh no,
That was
learned
good
that
word.
from series unfortunate events. No, I'm just kidding.
No wonder.
But now I get so panicked when I don't want to read because of booktube for some
Yeah.
reason. But before I would just pick up a book when I felt like it, or I would go to the library and pick out a random book. Like The Click. Did you ever read the Click books?
My sister read them. I
Oh my
never
goodness,
read them.
I read every single one. They're trash. They're the worst books ever. And the movie was produced by Tyra Banks,
Oh
FYI.
my god.
It was also terrible, but I watched it so many times. That's a tangent. But I think the first one that I can truly remember, I just remember getting out of it. I don't remember being in it, but I think it was sophomore year of high school. I read The Hunger Games. And I read the first one in a night. I went to bed at like 3 a.m. I was sobbing in the bathtub. I submerged myself under the water because it was 2 a.m.
What a mood! Oh my god!
It was 2 a.m. and I was trying not to be loud.
That's
Drowning in your
hilarious.
tears.
Literally.
You know, but that's the only time I can remember getting out of it because it was like seeing the sun again, but the sun was illuminating
Underwater.
a bunch of dead children in the Hunger Games. Oh,
Oh my god.
stop talking. This is
Oh
getting-
dear. Alright, did we want to do...
Animorphs, Little Book Owl.
I remember
I
seeing
remember
Animorphs.
seeing those
I
all
still
over.
to this day don't know what that is.
It's like
I never
the
read them.
covers are like da-da, 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 and that's literally the cover as they become the
Accurate.
new thing. Look at it
I
and
got
you'll
out
see
again.
how those
Wait, what?
da-da,
I can't.
da-da, da-da, and then they become the thing.
Oh my
It's
god,
true.
Remember Warriors?
Yes,
Yes,
that's
I think I
still
read like
happening.
one of those
I
books
love
at one
that.
point.
Those
That's
are still
still
coming
happening.
out.
Like
Oh
the
my
God.
cats.
Still
Yeah.
coming out, man. Oh, it's like Babysitter's Club. Like Babysitter's Club
I never read
when we
any
were
of
kids
those.
was just like a chapter book. Now it's a graphic novel. I found
Really?
it out. Yeah, because when I first started work, people were like Babysitter's Club, and I was like, oh, people still read that? And then they were like, no, the graphic novel, and I was like, she's not hip anymore.
Remember Junie B. Jones?
Yeah,
I never read Junie B.
I read
Jones
that.
either.
Junie B. Jones, yeah, that was a good one from back in the day. And then Amelia Bedelia.
I never read
Is that
those
the one with
either.
like?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I do
well.
know that one, but I never read that one. I'm sorry.
And then there was Ramona and Beezus.
Yep,
Mhm.
didn't
I
read
like
those.
Did you read Mary Kate and Ashley, Two of a Kind?
Yes!
Or the
Yes!
Adventures of Mary Kate and
Yes!
Ashley?
I remember seeing it. I've never read it, but I remember
I
that.
watch the movies like every day.
Obviously. Oh
Do you
my
remember
God.
their animated TV show where they were spies?
Yes. Oh my god.
No.
That's such a deep memory.
Oh,
Oh my god.
I think about it
I
way
want
too
to watch
often.
that now. What?
every day, sitting on the bus.
Judy
Oh.
Moody, Sam
Nope, didn't read those.
Cogno? Judy Moody, yes. Yes.
Oh, so many.
I just love all these memories popping up.
Honestly, I just want to go back and read all of these.
Yeah.
Oh, all the nostalgia.
Yeah, I remember reading like a lot of those like scholastic book fair books. Like that's how I found
Yes.
it before BookTube, before the BookTube days.
Yeah.
How I
That's
found
what
out
you
about
got
books. Yeah, how
Yeah.
I found out about books was the Scholastic Book Fair. So it was just
It's
like,
true.
what was that one series?
Holes.
No.
I love
well, I
Holes,
love
though.
Holes, but Avalon High. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I
Oh,
didn't
that
read
sounds
the first
really
one.
familiar.
Yeah,
Isn't
I
it a
read the
movie,
first
right?
one. I don't know. Was it Avalon High? I don't know. I think it had something to do with Avalon. And the girl on the cover of the book, she was like,
Meg Cabot. It's the same author as
Maybe.
Princess
She had red hair. Princess Diaries.
Diaries? It is Princess Diaries.
She had red hair. I remember that. And then there was another series that I also got from the Scholastic Book Fair. I bought the whole series because I've had this problem ever since.
Scholastic? Oh, so
My
smart.
mom would never let me buy things from
Everybody.
Scholastic Book Fair.
Publisher. Like, no one sees the other books.
It's really
all
sad.
Scholastic. Oh my god.
I'd go through
There
the
are
flyer
some
and
people
like
that
circle
did
the
good
things I
job.
wanted,
They
and
really
I'd
did.
never get any of them.
Can we have an adult Scholastic Book Fair? Something like
please.
that. I mean, I guess that is like BEA.
Kind
True.
of. But like, not everyone can just go into BEA and they don't travel to your school.
Yeah.
Imagine if colleges did that. Like, if
Oh
there was
my
a book
gosh,
fair
can
at
we do
college,
that?
Oh my god.
Please.
That'd be so great.
Listen up, publishers. I know you're watching right now.
You better listen. Oh, goodness.
Oh, Kitty Cat, little Kitty on Twitter says, did you have required reading in school? Did that affect the way you read now?
Okay. So my thing with required reading is I normally hate it just because it's required reading. The only two books that I ever read for required reading were ones that I enjoyed, were ones that I chose. So I read The Book Thief in freshman year of high school. And then I read All the Light We Cannot See senior year of high school. And I loved those books, but I also picked them. Oh, I also read An Ember in the Ashes for my library class senior year, and I loved those. But pretty much every other required reading I ever had to do, I hated. So my goal is to someday like go back and reread a lot of those books, just because then like I feel like I can get more out of them. But
Yes, I had required reading. And it definitely, it's like now, because I'm an English major and an advertising major, but for my English classes, it's always a hit or miss with required reading. Sometimes they do introduce me to my favorite books. Like Pride and Prejudice, I first read in 10th grade as required reading, which...
That's when I first read Alice. I read Alice in my first year of university because it was required reading. And, like, obviously I fell in love with it. I don't know if you knew that.
Couldn't tell.
But I know, right? I'm so subtle about it.
College though? Wow.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
pretty recent.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just,
Yeah,
I get
of
really
course.
obsessed with something, okay? Really, clearly, since, I mean, book collection has been only 3 years running. I just get very obsessed, so that's exactly what happened.
That was 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
You need help.
So, okay, see, because what happened was when I first discovered BookTube, I discovered all these books and then I bought all of them and I read maybe like 5% of them. But I had just gotten I got a student loan and I spent it like all on books because I ended up getting more scholarships than I was expecting.
What?
So I'm still paying
Haley?
for these books.
Any
I'm still
college
paying.
students watching?
Don't
be
do
like
it.
Haley.
That's-
Don't
Oh,
be
You
me.
legitimately spent your student loan on books.
Honestly.
Haley, don't. Why? No,
You're-
don't do that. Why?
Don't do it. She's so dumb. Don't do it.
Oh my word.
Oh god, what a nightmare.
Yeah, required reading, it can either be very helpful because it does make you more critically analyze any piece of literature you read. So reading, like we read The Golden Compass in 8th grade, I believe. And
I read the Golden
I know.
Compass in
Okay.
8th grade.
8th grade required reading was so good. We also read City of Ember.
Oh, we read
I love
Peninsula.
City of Ember.
They made us read Holes and like not Holes. What am I saying? That was 5th grade. They made us read like everything by John Steinbeck because I'm from California,
In
and they
8th
made
grade?
us read.
8th grade?
Yes,
We read that in 9th grade, I suppose.
I know. I had to
9th or
read The
10th.
Pearl. I had to read The Red Pony. I had to read Cannery
Grapes of
Row.
Wrath?
Oh my god. No, those were too long for
Okay.
us. Yeah.
That's
Not
pushing
that
it.
of Eden, but yeah. And then what else did I have to read? Oh, and then I had to read Tom Sawyer. I hate.
I
Mark
still haven't
Twain
read
books.
that.
I'm sorry to anyone who likes them. I don't.
I'm
like
very
them.
offended. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
How
not.
dare you?
Okay, the thing I will say about required reading is it depends on who is teaching you.
Yes.
like,
yes.
Some professors or teachers are fantastic and they will completely like change your view about a book. Others are terrible and they'll also completely change your view about a book, but like they'll make you hate it. Like
Yeah.
I cannot stand like okay, so I read The Great Gatsby. I had to read it in 10th grade. I read it in my freshman year because I wanted to read the book. So I loved the book. And then in 10th grade, my English teacher for AP Lang was horrendous. And he basically tore the book to pieces. And had I not read it and loved it before, I would hate The Great Gatsby now. So
Gosh,
that's on who's
yeah.
teaching you.
It depends on who's teaching it, and also it depends what the book is itself. But it depends if they have a real passion for having a group discussion. Because what I've learned in university, I've had a real tough time with my English classes because of my professors have always wanted to have you agree with what they think and not having more of an open discussion. Luckily, the one that I'm in this semester, it's really good. I'm really liking it because it's more of a let's discover what this book is really about together. But it depends if they really like books, and it depends if they want to hear what you have to say about it.
Very true.
So when it is good, then it will make your love for a book so much greater. I feel, never mind. Keep going. I could rant on and on.
Did any of you have to read Bunnicula? Have you
Yes.
read this?
Yes, the bunny vampire.
Yeah, the bunny vampire.
Oh my gosh.
We had to read that in like, I think it was like grade 8 or something like that.
That's in 8th grade?
Bunnicula? What am I supposed to learn from a bunny vampire?
It was a required reading?
Yes!
I read this for fun one time.
What are we teaching in Canada? The theme
How
park!
to protect yourself from the stampede of bunny
survival.
vampires that are coming for you.
I would take a bunny vampire to Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer any day. Any day.
Oh my god, read Bunnicula and you will change your mind.
I will.
Oh my gosh, I had to read Watership Down, which was also about
still
bunnies,
read
but
that,
I really liked it.
It's a very different bunny story. Very different. Oh goodness. All right. Well,
I think I read
that
Bunnicula in
we are
like
going to
3rd
end it
grade or
here,
something.
right?
Oh yeah. Oh, I like this one that Renee from Ray of Light 09 on Twitter just sent in. She asked, "What's your automatic book that you always go back to reread?"
And Over in the Ashes. Harry Potter. Hunger
That's a good
Games sometimes.
I
I
mean,
do. It depends.
Pride and
Narnia.
Prejudice and Harry Potter number. Not any of them. I was gonna pick a specific one. Just the whole series. I think those are definitely my comfort reads, and I find something new every time I read them. So that's why they're great to reread. What about you, Hannah?
I have 2. I have The Night Circus, which I like go back to a lot. But the thing is, I've only fully reread it once. I just reread parts of it sometimes because I don't know. I don't have to finish it because I know the story. But I recently reread it, so that's definitely a comfort read for me. And then my other one is Turtles All the Way Down, which I'm planning on rereading soon. I've read it like 4 times.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
I used to reread The Fault in Our Stars all the time, actually. I haven't done it in a while, but I used to reread that one all the time. The Book Thief is definitely one that I like to reread, but it's also one that I've only reread once. I really love rereading Alice because I learn something new every time because it's such a weird, different story. Like, I studied it every single year that I was in university. And
every year?
Yeah, I made a conscious decision to take a class that taught it, and every year there was a class that taught it. So clearly we have a very diverse selection of literature being taught. Like, between that and William Blake's Songs of Innocence and Experience, that was all that we ever learned. But honestly,
You only have 2 books in your library?
Apparently. But I always took it with a different professor too. So like every professor had a different view on it. And like you were saying, how it really affects how you see it. Like, thank God I read it with a different professor first, because my second professor that I learned it with was all like, everything is phallic. Like, it's the most sexual story. And I was like, don't do it.
What?
Don't
wow.
do it. So that was literally the entire course. He was just like, everything that's cylindrical, you know what it is. Like, that was literally
what my English teacher did in sophomore year.
That's a lot of them.
Did you go to?
That's English. They're just like, yep.
Jesus.
She was also a teacher, so like, you know.
Oh, okay, Freud. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, well, I think we had a really good discussion, and I want to keep on going, but just for everyone's sanity,
we
probably
will stop
should end
now.
this.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Bookmarked episode 1.
Oh, we forgot to say what we're currently reading.
Oh! No. Here's mine. I'm currently reading The Assassin's Guide to Love and Treason by Virginia Boaker, and I've been working on it for a while, but it's fun.
I'm currently reading The Guernsey Literary and Potato
I
Peel
wanna
Pie
read
Society
that.
by Mary Ann Schaefer and Annie
Because
Barrows.
it's Netflix
I
film.
am actually currently not reading anything because I just finished the book I was currently reading today, which was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. And it was
Yes.
fantastic.
Good book.
Yay!
Go read some books. Have
Yes.
a good day.
Thank you for coming to Bookmarked Chapter 1, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone!
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So that's the end of that one. That was really fun. I enjoyed these a lot. I love each of the three people individually, but seeing them together is really funny too. So yeah, that's it for this reaction. It was really fun. I like that everybody has their own distinct things that they read, or like how they became readers and whatnot. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more of these, let me know. I love doing this. It's really fun. Hoping that I can continue it. I will link I'll link the episode as well as all three of the girls' channels in the description below, so you can find them all because they're all fantastic. So yeah, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!